In the 13th century, ancient Russia, also known as Kievan Rus, was in a state of utter disarray. Once a mighty empire under Yaroslav the Wise, it had now shattered into dozens of small principalities, each claiming its own kings and lords. But the troubles didn't end with internal squabbles. Foreign invaders were also licking their chops, eager to expand their territories. In short, Russia at this time was like a delicious cake that everyone wanted a slice of. It was amid this chaotic mess that Alexander Nevsky emerged, a ray of light piercing through the storm. Before we dive into the story, can you guess which countries attacked and invaded Kievan Rus back then? If you're stumped, stick around and keep watching to find out. Alexander was born in 1221 in Pereslav-Zaleski, near what is now Moscow. His father was Yuri II, the Grand Duke of Vladimir, an ambitious man who unfortunately didn't have the luck to survive the Mongol invasion. His mother, Agafia, was a princess from Polovsk, a principality in the west. That's the rundown on his parents. They were nobles, likely married for political reasons, and they brought Alexander into the world, leaving him to face its harsh realities on his own. Alexander grew up in a big family, probably full of squabbles like, "Who ate my cake?" At 15, he was sent to Novgorod to serve as a prince. Novgorod was a wealthy city, famous for its democratic governance through the veche, a kind of civic council. But don't picture it as a paradise. In 1237, when Alexander was just 16, the Mongols launched their invasion, razing cities left and right, including Vladimir, where his father was killed in 1238. Overnight, this carefree teenager was thrust into a world of war and loss. He probably thought, "I just want to rule in peace. Why is life so tough?" In 1240, at the ripe age of 20, Alexander faced his first major test. The Swedes, led by Duke Birger Jarl, decided to attack Novgorod to seize control of the Neva River, a juicy trade route. They marched in, set up camp near the river where the Izhora flows into the Neva, close to the settlement of Ust-Izhora, likely kicking back with a barbecue and thinking, "Piece of cake. What can the Russians do to us?" But Alexander wasn't one to mess with. Leading a small but crack team, he launched a surprise attack while the enemy was busy camping. The result? The Swedes were crushed, many killed, the rest running for their lives. This stunning victory not only saved Novgorod, but also earned Alexander the nickname Nevsky, the man of the Neva. Picture him standing on the riverbank, hair whipping in the wind, shouting, "Camping here was your biggest mistake." After this triumph, Alexander returned to Novgorod like a rock star, but not everyone was clapping. The merchants and local nobles weren't fans of his iron-fisted style. They wanted democracy via the veche, while Alexander leaned toward "my word is law." So in 1241, they booted him out of the city without a second thought. It must have been a laughable sight. Alexander, fresh off saving Novgorod, standing outside the gates, bewildered, muttering, "You're kicking me out after I beat the Swedes? Talk about gratitude." Not long after, Novgorod was in peril again. The Teutonic Knights, a Western military order decked out in heavy armor, attacked and took Pskov, then set their sights on Novgorod. Let's take a quick detour to learn about these guys. The Teutonic Knights were a medieval German military order founded in the late 12th century in Acre, in the Levant, to help Christian pilgrims reach the Holy Land and set up hospitals. In the Middle Ages, they were a crusader order, sporting white robes with black crosses. Today, they're a purely religious Catholic group based in Vienna, Austria. Members are called Teutonic Knights, or Knights of the German Order. When they hit Novgorod, they'd already spread their influence across Europe and now aimed to fold Russia's Eastern Orthodox Church into the Roman Church. Back to the action. The people panicked, realizing they couldn't survive without Alexander. Swallowing their pride, they begged him to return. Alexander came back, no grudges held, and led the army against the Teutonic Knights in the Battle on the Ice on April 5, 1242. The showdown happened on the frozen Lake Peipus. The knights, numbering 1,500 to 2,000 with heavy cavalry and infantry, charged straight into Alexander's ranks. His force, around 5,000 strong with infantry, archers, and light cavalry, held a defensive stance, infantry in the center, cavalry on the wings. Alexander played it smart. He lured the enemy deep into the center where the ice was thin, then flanked them. As hundreds of armored knights stormed forward, the ice cracked, plunging countless foes into the icy depths. This win didn't just save Novgorod, it became a symbol of defiance against the West. Alexander might have smirked. Want to play on ice? Let me show you how to skate Russian style. While racking up wins in the West, Alexander also had to handle the Mongols, the juggernaut that had overrun much of Russia. Instead of picking a fight, he chose the smart route, submission, to protect his people. In 1245, he traveled to the Golden Horde, knelt before the Khan, and was named Prince of Novgorod. By 1252, he'd risen to Grand Duke of Vladimir, the top rank among Russian princes. He kept the peace with the Mongols, minimized destruction, and preserved Russian culture. You could say Alexander was a diplomatic genius, knowing how to play nice with the big dogs to save his folks. In 1239, Alexander married Paraskiva, daughter of Prince Bryachislav of Polotsk. They had at least 4 kids, including Dmitri, who later became Prince of Novgorod. His home must have been a riot, with kids darting around and Alexander yelling, "Who just dumped soup on their sibling's head?" Alexander passed away on November 14, 1263, in Gorodets, near Nizhny Novgorod, and was buried in Vladimir. In 1547, he was canonized, cementing his status as one of Russia's greatest heroes. His name pops up everywhere, streets, churches, and his legacy paved the way for the rise of the Grand Duchy of Moscow down the line. Alexander Nevsky's life was a wild ride of bravery, brains, and adaptability in crazy times. From his epic win at the Battle of the Neva, his legendary comeback at the Battle on the Ice, to his savvy dealings with the Mongols, he showed that defending the homeland takes both muscle and smarts. From a teenage prince kicked to the curb, he rose to become Russia's undying icon. Pretty epic tale worth retelling, don't you think? Thanks for tuning in. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit that bell so you don't miss out on more wild history tales. Catch you later.